Hello, and once again, welcome to J.P.'s World of Wrestling. I am your man, J.P., and today we're doing a little bit of a bonus content for you because I don't have a figure for you today, but I've got something else to show you. Something I've had since 1996, and it is this autographed picture of The Undertaker. I got this in person back in 1996, and the story behind that is that at the time I was living in Reno, Nevada with my family. Um, and I was in high school and we were somewhere, I don't know where I was, but I remember hearing on the radio that a new department store was opening up at the local mall and they were going to have WWF superstar The Undertaker and Paul Bearer signing autographs for the grand opening of this department store. So me and my sister Dean we're like, oh, we got to get part of that. We got to get in on that because the first couple hundred people or so got autographs. So, so my mom took us to the mall on that Saturday afternoon, and we get there, we stand in line, and we're waiting, and then suddenly The Undertaker and Paul Bearer show up just like they're supposed to. No surprise there. And so we get up there. We get up to our turn in line to get autographs, and Paul Bearer signs his autograph. Now, I don't know where Paul Bearer's autograph is. I don't know what I did with it or what happened to it. I've moved so many times, it probably got lost in the move. But he hands me his autograph and said, "Thank you, Mr. Bearer." And he said, "You're very welcome, sir." Very nice guy. And then I move over to The Undertaker. Now, this is right before WrestleMania 12. That is where The Undertaker was going to get ready to wrestle Big Daddy Cool Diesel. Because they were kind of in a feud at the time. This is when Diesel was kind of on his way out and getting ready to go over to WCW. But Undertaker hands me this autograph. And then I tell him, "Hey, you're going to bury Diesel." And then he looks at me with his Undertaker voice and goes, "I'm going to bury him." So that was really cool. So after that, we kind of just went home. But yeah, that's my Undertaker autograph picture that I've had since 1996. I don't have an Undertaker figure. I wish I did. But The Undertaker, I always loved The Undertaker. I always thought he was kind of a cool character. He was kind of the character that didn't really feel pain. It was kind of a cross between Frankenstein and Michael Myers. And so, in fact, the sit-up that he does, like where he just kind of sits up, WWF actually got that from Michael Myers in the Halloween movie, the original one. So yeah, he was kind of a dark, shadowy figure, and then, then he kind of went with kind of a different character, like after Paul Bearer kind of turned his back on him. Back then, he was kind of feuding with Mankind. And Mankind, I have to say, was probably one of the only guys that I ever thought was kind of a realistic, formidable opponent for The Undertaker. But, so Mankind was there. And he had kind of a feud with Yokozuna. And Yokozuna, I thought, was at least somewhat a realistic opponent, but the only way anybody at that time could beat The Undertaker is if they cheat somehow. And during a casket match on a pay-per-view, he was wrestling Yokozuna, and a bunch of heel characters came out. They all ganged up on The Undertaker. There was 20 of them, and they all ganged up on The Undertaker and stuffed him in the casket, and that's the only way that Yokozuna could win. But then they started doing all that Attitude Era stuff, and like I said before, I wasn't really big into the Attitude Era, and I didn't really like The Undertaker's character back then because he was sort of like, I don't know, almost like Satan, almost like the devil somewhat, and I wasn't into it. And so, but then they kind of brought him back early 2000s as this biker guy, the American Bad A, and then that character kind of went away, but they brought him back sort of as a combination of the two. The classic Undertaker that we knew from the past and the biker guy, but he didn't ride a bike anyway. He was kind of the classic Undertaker, but with a new look. And so he had a good strong run there. He was undefeated at WrestleMania until WrestleMania 30 when Brock Lesnar beat him. And everybody was in shock there because, oh my goodness, somebody actually beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania. But, so he had a good run, and then he finally ended his career at WrestleMania. And, but it was during kind of the pandemic, so they weren't really able to have like an actual crowd, an actual audience. So Undertaker and a guy named AJ Styles had kind of a cinematic match. You know, it wasn't the best, but it was the best they could do, and it actually turned out okay for a cinematic match, which I'm not really a fan of, but they did the best they could, and it was a pretty decent showing, and The Undertaker, I think, went out on a high note, and then he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. And so, yeah, that's The Undertaker. And once again, there's my Undertaker autograph. It's not in good shape. You know, the corners are bent. It's kind of frayed. It's kind of dirty. But nevertheless, there it is. The Undertaker autograph from 1996. Grand opening of Got Shocks in Reno, Nevada. So next time we're going to continue on with my profiling of individual superstars that I have to figure out. Like, I'm going through all the Hasbros first, then I'm going to go with the Globes. Then I'll probably go with the Mattel Retros. And so I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm actually getting quite a few views. The past few videos I did with Joe, I'm getting more views than I normally would. So I thank you for that. And so, once again, if you're new here, go ahead and like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.